What in your brain, so? What stifling your brain? What confusing your brain? What switching your brain to the left and the right? I don't understand, Judy Raymond. DouglAR Politics. Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Sharp, sharp, sharp.
Places love to the max. And when we tell them, Anil, DouglAR Politics. This is DouglAR Politics, yo. DouglAR Politics. Listen, DouglAR Politics. This is DouglAR Politics, yo. DouglAR Politics. Listen, DouglAR Politics, yeah. DouglAR Politics. This is DouglAR Politics, yeah. DouglAR Politics. This is DouglAR Politics. DouglAR Politics. This is DouglAR Politics, yo.
Good evening and welcome to DouglAR Politics. We start off this evening by wishing the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition now, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the leader of the United National Congress, happy birthday. May God bless you and keep you. And those of you who now realize that the media, that the Guardian media, which is the guardian of Rowley K-Park since 2010, that the Newsday, which was fair from 2010 till 2014 and a half, 15, then hired Judy Raymond in 2016, has gone totally Rowley and Rice. The Express, which only now in October 2020 has started to return to journalistic integrity and fairness. Understand how powerful that was. You all out there, Stanley Augustus, my good friend, would tell me on the radio, Anil, Kamla Persad-Bissessar did so much for people. You could see she cared about children and single mothers. But boy, the perception is that all your UNC thief and thief. Yes, perception is filled and fueled by the mass media. The mass media, which has its agenda, its owners. You all are seeing it, and I'll show you more of it tonight as we go through DouglAR Politics. But I say now, and we say from DouglAR Politics, Archie, Vishnu, and myself, happy birthday to the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Run it. I don't support Kamla Persad-Bissessar for any reason other than she believes in people in Trinidad and Tobago, and her policies speak for themselves. Take away all the noise, take away all the lies, take away all the rancor, take away all the Rowley, and just focus on what she did as Prime Minister. If you got access to laptops, to children life fund, 153 children life saved, teaching hospital, Couva Children Hospital, Aquatic Center, National Racket Center, National Tennis Center, Cycling Velodrome, Highway to Point 14, Highway in Dago, buses. If you understood that she put ministers who knew their portfolio, Kevin Ramnarayan, Fazal Karim in science and tertiary, Tim Gopi Singh in education, Fuad Khan in health, not no convent girl, no small pin, no lawyer running energy, no Pomsite Rasta fake man in national security. She had Gary Griffith in national security, Jack Warner. Jack Warner has works and transport. All you wish all you had Jack Warner there now under Kamla Prasad Bisesa or Suraj Rambachan to drive on smooth roads with pothole. Don't get tired. Take all the emotion and the nonsense and the games and the people who pushing lies down your throat because they own TV station and newspaper. Let me see Rowley's portfolio. Let me see what he has done. All he has done is take everything from the people. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and them under Munilal build over 24,000 houses. What them build? And who build it? What's the procurement? What's the legislation? What's the gutting of it? Ministers procuring. How many recusals? All they was talking about somebody's son of somebody get some kind of thing because they tender and call that corruption under Kamla. Franco men ministers renting their own building and all they saying quiet. I can't tell you all everything that lady do, but all you, especially your PNM people now who's suffering under your own government. Yes, you made a mistake. So quietly now, all you wish Kamla Prasad Bisesa a happy birthday. Because all you see what it is to have a prime minister who don't care about none all you. Whether African, Indian, Chinese, in between. He only care about them close to he. End of story. Rich people and those he could benefit from. Nobody else. Wean yourself off of he. So even though you're a Balisi and you feel race and you feel African and you feel you have to go left foot, right now, just say, happy birthday to Kamla Prasad Bisesa because differently able get help, pensioners get increased, grants for autism, grants for football, for sport across the board, increase in culture funding, domestic carnival and investment in culture and the arts and movies and documentaries and local producers, increase in gate. Fazal Karim increased the gate from 400 million to 800 million. The PNM has cut it down to 300 million. If your children work hard for scholarships, that was what Kamla Prasad Bisesa was. Every day Tim Gopi Singh and the Ministry of Education gave out 24,000 more meals, breakfast and lunch to children. Rowley cut food from poor people children. Tim Gopi Singh built 106 schools. Fazal Karim and David Lee built over 12 MIC and NESC centers for us to get training. They funded UTT fully, built UE campus for education, increase foreign direct investment, trade and industry, going down the line. So y'all PNM now could just wish Kamla Prasad Bisesa a happy birthday. Stop the games. We talking pure facts. Forget the emotion. And just to show you a little thing, this is a short video. This is what Archie I do last year. But this is only piece of thing. Show some other thing the lady do and wish her a happy birthday. Because Lord have mercy, I want to see the video this man could do. All he go have in it is small pin, Rohan, Andrew Gabriel, tight pants, tight shirt, and about 3 others renting out their own thing and building their own thing, while Noel Garcia with his pretty looking face spending out all your money, while ministers procuring vessels without board, without tender committee, without approval. The Prime Minister approving charter party agreement on the phone in Tobago while he play golf, eating shrimps and drinking scotch. And 158 million 4 months ago and counting of crooked money. Run it, Archie.
When you're weary, down and out. When you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me
And that was just some constituencies that do not and will not vote UNC or for Kamala. Just a little tidbit. So all you they who just automatically vote Coleman, but all you PNM, Haiti, he's the most obnoxious, most disgusting, most arrogant, most selfish human being out. But bam, call an election, 10,000 vote. He's gallery. He watched me in the parliament and said, boy, 2010, if we had sent 3 more Maxi, Gavin Nicholas would have beat you, boy. He watched me and said, well, next time I will campaign. He didn't lie. That's the truth. He did not campaign. He was all on the national platforms and so on, because he did not need to campaign, because race politics in Trinidad and Tobago. Why you think in Blenheim, Keith Rowley just sat down and fabricated a story, don't blame Tobago, to try to say that the Indian and the UNC blaming Tobago for COVID-19. Who in God's name blamed Tobago? Not one human being, not one UNC, not one independent, not one person, not one columnist, not one editor, not one doctor, not one scientist. He just fabricated a story and bam, front page. Don't blame Tobago. UNC, Indian, blaming African Tobago for COVID-19. Boom, division, clung like he could get votes. He has to do that. What you think that is 1%. 1% of what Kamala Prasad Bissessa achieved. If I was to show all your 60, 70, 80, 90% is a 2-hour video. I can't do that. Let him show me his video. What you do? So you have to play race. Indian don't like African. African don't like Indian. A clown like Rowley could get votes because of the gerrymandering by the EBC over the last 60 years. And now it's even worse. The niece of a former sitting minister is now in charge of the EBC. And the best friend of our sitting minister of education who taken away scholarships from children to hand out bursaries to whom they feel to give. Our country is lost. And you're all getting tired with emotion. Forget emotion. Talk raw facts. What all they saw there? Raw facts. On top of that, in Tobago, she had the Sea Bridge, she had the MIC Center, she had CPEP, she had airport coming, she had weather station, weather meteorological center building. She had all kind of thing, road works, anything, and with consultation with Orville London, the chief secretary. Not like Rowley, who put Kelvin Charles to sit down while Smallpin and them up on the platform, and he had to go on the mic like a little pleb and ask a question. So understand that. So all you could just wish the lady a happy birthday. Go ahead, I wouldn't tell nobody. I see that they have a nice tribute to Franklin Khan in the Express, man. Nice full page, few pages and thing. I just say to myself, imagine if Franklin Khan was not the minister who oversaw the shutdown of Petrotrin. You would have had to put 3 daily papers. You would have to put it thick so. I wonder if Franklin Khan was not the Minister of Energy that oversaw the collapse of Point Lisas down from 74% capacity to 20%. If he had done that and kept Point Lisas going and negotiated a good gas price so that other companies could stay functioning and taxpayers could receive their VAT refunds on time, we could have money for traffic lights so people wouldn't dare at intersection and so on. If we were getting the intake of revenue, how big the thing would that be? But that's all right. May he rest in peace. I don't mean that to say he performed good. He's a nice, affable fellow. I see that his daughter is coming to the funeral, state funeral. They're discussing whether he'll have a state funeral. And his daughter is being brought in, given an exemption by Pomsite Rasta to come in. I 100% agree she should be able to come in. I said so last night, I say it again. I have nothing against that. That is fantastic. A daughter should be able to come home to her country, the country of her birth, to say goodbye to her father, who she loved. But that must apply to every citizen. That must apply to everybody. Franklin daughter and Johnny daughter. Suzanne daughter and Beatrice daughter. Suruj daughter and Siobhan daughter. Anybody daughter. Swangsu daughter or Maribela daughter. Everybody. This exemption policy that some come and some don't. How many people we've heard stories. A man's father was murdered by people trying to thief his animals, and his son could not come home to bury him because he couldn't get no exemption from the same PNM. A woman lost her brother-in-law, her sister-in-law, and her father between August and February 2021. August 2020 and February. And she couldn't come to bury none of them and say a prayer. How many people like that? The exemption policy of the PNM is asinine. It is oppressive. It is unconstitutional. It is idiotic. It is unscientific, nonsensical, and it has not protected us. We are now worse off in COVID-19 at the end of April going into May 2021 than we were in April 2020. We worse off. $18 billion disappear. Your Heritage and Stabilization Fund that Kamala left in 2015 at $7.8 billion US has not grown. It's supposed to grow by at least $1 billion to $1.5 billion per year. Your reserve requirement of US 10.86 to 12.226 billion US Kamala left there. Call me but and them suck it out. It's down to 5. We had 14 months import cover, we down to 6 months import cover. We can't get foreign exchange. Banks drop all your credit card. Them who have big credit card, 5,000 US, 10,000 US, drop it down to 250 US, all under this PNM. During this COVID, we worse off now. Now we have Brazilian strain. So with all due respect, Franklin Khan daughter should come. The exemption policy should be squashed, quashed, and gotten rid of. It's a failed policy. It has suffered our citizens and had no effect. Somebody who knows the officials at the US Embassy, please call them. A few words for them. Listen very carefully, because I don't think a new ambassador has been appointed yet by Joe Biden, President Biden, or Vice President Kamala Harris. Let me tell the US Embassy, please, don't take bait from a media in Trinidad and Tobago that is biased towards Rowley. They ask you leading questions, and if you are not savvy, you answer the question with the goodness of your heart. But you make a mockery of diplomacy and diplomatic relations. And you step into the arena of domestic politics. The United States of America gives out travel advisories, apolitical, just on their information, their intelligence about any country. That information is given out to advise their citizens to how to travel, where to travel, and how to be safe, what to do. The US Embassy and the US Department of State sent out an advisory on Trinidad and Tobago, which was scathing, dropping us to a level 4, telling its citizens, 330 million plus others all around the diaspora in the world, do not travel to Trinidad and Tobago for X and Y reasons. They even went into great detail to say which areas to stay out of. That is pure scientific, factual information disseminated by the United States government. The United States of America is a superpower. This information and these advisories also go out to other countries, and other countries who have great respect for the United States and their intelligence and their understanding and information on each and every country will give some credence or credibility to the advisory given out by the USA. It's a very important tool and a very important message that is sent across the globe. Now, US Embassy. In Trinidad and Tobago, just like in every other country in the world, there is domestic politics. The information, factual information given out by you, which is apolitical and does not require a statement such as that, the world knows that the US does not and other countries do not get involved in domestic politics. However, officials at the embassy, you erred, and for this time, I would just leave it as an error in judgment, an error in marketing, communication, or understanding diplomacy. You were asked a leading question by a journalist, and it forced you to make a leading political interference into the domestic politics of Trinidad and Tobago. Any opposition party or any government, because travel advisories can go either way. They can either go bad, words don't go, or yes, Americans, go to Trinidad. It is safe. Their national security minister is brilliant. The crime rate has diminished down to 10 murders per year. There is no larceny. People can leave their laptops and their cell phones in the mall, in the food court, and no one will steal it. You can drive and go up into Laventille and listen to Desperados play pan. That could be a travel advisory if you had a government that is trying to do that, to achieve that, that is competent, that has people with intelligence, experience, and ability to improve a situation, not people like Pomsite Failure Hines. So with all due respect, the apolitical information sent out by the Americans is to be used in each country for their political purposes. In our case, the PNM has run us into the ground. So much so that the US, who does not like PNM or UNC, does not get involved in domestic politics of Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, Grenada, Zimbabwe, South America, South Africa, Brazil. They try to stay out, with the diplomats at least. Their foreign policy may be different, as in Venezuela, putting pressure and so on to try to enhance democracy over other sorts of organizational structures. But once the scientific information and the advisory comes out, it is incumbent upon an opposition to make the point that the government is failing. And the independent source or resource or information, the independent advisory of the United States of America, which cannot be said to be UNC or opposition in this case, is showing a deterioration in our situation with regards to safety and security. End of story. Any opposition who does not take that independent information and disseminate it and show that the government should come out, should be fired, should resign, and should leave this country in peace, would be shirking its responsibility. So to the official from the US Embassy, who when asked a leading question about the UNC's politicizing of the information, and they chose to utilize that opportunity to say that the US Embassy frowns upon politicization of the information, with all due respect, you are fast and out of place. That's not your business. You are not involved in domestic politics. You are here as a guest to handle opportunities to create and protect your citizens, to further investment, to provide trade opportunities for your companies, to provide friendly links, to assist us with your whatever funding you have, and to create solid domestic diplomatic relations with Trinidad and Tobago. The US Embassy is not to delve into politics. By your press release, trying to say or to answer the leading question about the UNC's politicization of your independent information, is in fact getting involved in the democratic process, breaching the diplomatic code, and it is not on US Embassy. So at this time I will just say that obviously someone who is not very well trained in diplomacy lost it and did not check what they were saying. Secondly, to the PNM who feel that by getting their media practitioners to ask leading questions and get up a press release that says the US frowns upon politicization of information, that and nothing is the same thing, because the information is apolitical. The information says that people are not to travel to Trinidad and Tobago. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is the PNM. The PNM has Trinidad and Tobago on the no-fly list, on the not safe list, on the don't go there list. You can't escape that. According to your Minister of Sport, we in charge, PNM in charge, and our country's reputation is going down the toilet and ending up in the sewer. So to the US officials, once is a mistake, slow your roll. We know that you're independent. You don't take sides. That's fine. Stay out of we business. Don't get tired. Okay? Cool it. Relax. Eat some steak. Wait for July 4th. Hopefully you can send out some fireworks. All right? Until then, we take your advisory issued to the globe to stay away from our country. We frown upon that. We don't frown on you. We frown upon those in charge of our country, which is the People's National Movement, Keith Rowley, and the Pomsite Rasta. So Yankee, go and find our man up there in New York from Chumakek and see if he have a visa or a green card, and stay out of our business, all right? Bless, man. We coming back.
Politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago, do we have this thing out to fix? We coming with facts.
And welcome back to DouglAR Politics. Part of the reason we have those travel advisories to stay away from Trinidad and Tobago, that even under COVID-19 lockdown for 14 months, we have heinous murders, even though the streets are empty, businesses shut down, bars shut down, no nightclubs, no cruises, but we still have heinous murders. Autopsy finds that the granny, 96-year-old, Utilda Joseph, was strangled. Strangled. 96 years old. A murdered businessman died of asphyxia. Cabinet to review pepper spray report next week. The entire country had vigil and prayers night after night. Candlelight movement. Petition I hear is 97,000 signatures of citizens calling for pepper spray, calling for a review of the judicial system, a commission of inquiry, calling for FUL licenses increased for women, and so on. Rowley and his government have ignored the murder of Andrea Barrett and others. The citizens cried out, women cried out for help, and their response is 2 months, 3 months later, that cabinet will review pepper spray report. They needed to kill time on a pepper spray report. The Commissioner of Police since 2018, 2017, 2018, telling the government, give women pepper spray. The former Minister Smallpin saying he is requesting information and advice from his experts. I thought the Commissioner of Police is the expert. No pepper spray. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Khadija Amin, the UNC, Anita Haynes calling for pepper spray since 2016 into 2020. They now go into cabinet to review a report, which means no action for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe longer. And then you want to know why people say don't come here. Don't come here. You could be 96-year-old and get strangled. You could be a little girl going to from work and get strangled, killed, and thrown down a precipice. And the government don't care. Them have to go arm wrestling and put on tight shirt and tight pants and don't wear no mask. Them have to go big Sawati wedding while all are we on lockdown. Them have to go and play golf in Tobago, eat shrimps and drink scotch. Pepper spray review report. All you hear that? But you all want to tell me about left foot, right foot, PNM, UNC. The PNM on the Rowley is a complete and utter failure. You don't believe me? Okay, let me read something for you. That when people don't have the emotion and the emotive politics and don't have Judy Raymond Newsday in the ears and the Guardian in the mouth and the TV6 and the CNC3 and TV6 and Express don't feel because since October you start to be fair that 10 years of bias and inappropriate journalism and journalists as investigative political journalists who loving up one side of the politics. 3 red man, 3 man in red, not 1 yellow, not even a quarter. Not if it had 3 yellow and 3 red, I say fair is fair. If the red outperform me, well, no big thing, they outperform me. Well done, but at least we could say that fair. We had an opportunity, but only man with red, no yellow, and writing on the front pages on politics, investigative journalism, and pumping that into the minds of people. But you see, people who don't have that, people who just look with the eyes and ears clean, apolitical, like new President Joseph Biden. He mightn't be able to walk upstairs on the plane very well. He may not be able to take questions from the media very well. His mind may drift, okay. But one thing he knows is that Rowley ain't good. Because Rowley is the chair of CARICOM. It rotates. And Trinidad and Tobago is the chair. And Rowley happens to be the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago at this time and is therefore the chairman of CARICOM. But on page 20, Guardian, Friday, April 23, 2021. At moment of peril, President Biden opens global summit on climate. Washington, AP. President Joe Biden convened leaders of the world's most powerful countries on Thursday to try and spur global efforts against climate change, drawing commitments from Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meeting this moment is about more than preserving our planet. You know who was not invited there? The chairman of CARICOM. Keith Christopher Rowley was not invited. Prime Minister Holness of Jamaica was invited, and I believe Prime Minister Gaston Brown was invited. Foreign ministers of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and the United States Secretary of State. So after that big meeting with the president, they just got down to real work. And the Secretary of State of the United States met with individual foreign ministers to formulate and set policy going forward, climate change. And Trinidad and Tobago was left out. Why? Because of Kamala? No. Because of Keith Christopher Rowley's foreign policy, his upholding of the Maduro regime, the oppressive dictatorial regime of Nicolas Maduro, who has been indicted by the US on drug trafficking, corruption, cartel, and money laundering charges. But he could land here, his vice president could land here, his PDVSA plane that sanctioned, his PDVSA officials could land here. We could buy fuel, 1.2 million barrels, Franklin Kahn said when I asked him a question last year. In April, 1.2 million barrels of fuel from Trafigura PTE and sell it to ES Euro Shipping, both companies owned by Wilmer Ruperti, who is Maduro. So, foreign ministers of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and the United States Secretary of State have agreed on the need to work together on a number of issues of mutual interest. A statement from the Caribbean Community Secretariat said at a virtual meeting yesterday, the two sides noted the inextricable link between the community and the US and welcomed the roundtable discussion as an initial engagement between the new US administration and CARICOM. It said Eamon Courtenay, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration of Belize, and the chairman of the CARICOM Council for Foreign and Community Relations, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque gave opening statements. The chairman of CARICOM, Keith Christopher Rowley, no, on this Zoom, you don't go in it. Don't say yeah, COVID. Nothing to do with COVID. This Zoom meeting. This is not face-to-face meeting. Left out. The chair of CARICOM was left out. If that is not the most embarrassing, if that is not the clearest indictment on the leadership of Keith Christopher Rowley, I can't help all you. Down to Biden, all you laughing at Biden. Biden so old, he can't remember, he don't know this, but he know Rowley ain't good though. He know Rowley ain't good. He talking to other people. As we talking that, I see that the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber has elected a new board. And I'm seeing some very well-known names, people of high caliber. So today, as I congratulate the new board of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, I just put you all on notice. Let's not keep the status quo. Let's not use the chamber as Gabriel Faria used it to promote PNM nonsense and propaganda. And now all businesses, including your own, are suffering. The lockdown has failed. COVID-19 is more rampant than ever. And the new strain is now 5 cases of the new strain, with all not connected to the first case 0. And they're spread all over Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM has failed dramatically on COVID-19, both on the health side, because we're dead in more than ever, and the economic side. The economy is in tatters. So Mr. Charles Pashley, President, my brother from Fatima College, I look forward to your fair analysis, your fair statements on fact, without politics, I see, but you had answer my call, so I feel I go have to jam you because I know how the ball does bowl. But I know that you are an intelligent man, a strong-minded man, and a fair person. So I expect you to call a spade, Mr. Charles Pashley, President. Kiran Maharaj, David Hadid, Karen Yipchak, Camille Chatur, national swimmer, first and only female to win crossover back-to-back female. Since then, I don't believe any female has ever won it. She beat me too, blow me out a bun and she blow past me. Camille Chatur, brilliant, intelligent, strong-minded woman. I don't want to see, please, Gabriel Faria paying for surveys that say Rowley and them doing good when the science says they're not doing well. You see those kind of games, all your name go call. You see why I calling it now? Because I'm congratulating you all. So Camille Chatur, Mark Lakis, Mark Prasad, Sonia Chase, Christian Stone, Sasha Thompson, brilliant woman. Riaz Ahmad, well, use a PNM. So all of that's cool. Riaz, he's the immediate pass. Oh Lord, no wonder you see what I tell you. You see how the DouglAR don't lie? As I say PNM, he's the immediate past president. Diane Haddad, Chair in Tobago. Gabriel Faria, Chief Executive Officer, Director ex officio. So we look forward to seeing some more fair analysis. Change the status quo now, because the country is sinking. We need to get back to merit. If someone deserves to be Prime Minister, they work hard, their policy shows that, let them take the job. Cannot have a clown who lies every day, twists up and frighten the whole country because you're bullied and it's vindictive and you lose a contract or you lose a tender. That's why all the banks are so quiet. How come big banks lose $3.81 billion in tender work for public sector government contracts, when anybody know that economies of scale mean that the bigger banks, the longer standing institutions with better balance sheets could bid better? They could get money cheaper. They could get lower the interest rate. How a little parlor by where I just drink rum on the avenue without COVID protocol by Frankie's day. How them beat big banks, Republic, RBC, Scotia, and some Merchant Bank. All of these big banks, First Citizens Bank, get blown from a little parlor side because the brother happened to be small pin brother. Just lucky, you know. As small pin swearing on the Bible, that man started to get lucky. But did you all hear the point I'm making? Did you hear any of the banks complain? If you lose $3.81 billion of work, possible profits upwards of $600 million, pure profit, you wouldn't be vexed if you really deserve to win that? How come they're quiet? You all ever ask yourself that? Because they don't want to lose all. Our country, we are becoming a country of cowards because we're afraid that bully, that bullet. Some people say, but Anil, why are you so disrespectful to Keith Rowley? He's the Prime Minister. My mother teach me respect is reciprocal. Respect is earned. I don't respect nothing about he. From since he was a teacher in 1969 and a girl of school age he impregnate, coming up the line, from landed, from gravel rolling across, from the, even, I mean, I like woman and thing, but oh Lord, even the kind of thing he like, I can't understand that. I don't even respect that. The man is a total clown. The man is a black man who's ashamed to be black and then pulling black man card and have people believing we had a vote for he because he looked like we. When a Prime Minister could let people in Goodwood Park call him, hey black boy come, look my black boy, I must respect that. Fire burn all you, I do not respect he. And I wish he tell me, come out on the pavement. Munilal is a nice gentleman. I would have jump over. I say, don't wait. Let me do it theater of camera and thing. Respect he. You know how many children are suffering and will suffer for the rest of their lives because of the policies on education that man have. Cutting Tim Gopi Singh, school feeding, textbook, laptop program, cutting UTT, cutting MIC, cutting NESC. You know the pain them children going to go through. Respect that. Fire burn all you. Because let me tell you something. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have this way. That if it ain't happen to me, it ain't happen. Well, not me. My Indian wearing mother from Malaysia, lawyer, lover, great woman, intelligent woman, will wake up out she grave and slap me for not caring about your child, for not caring about somebody. That's why you're a coach. And no child I ever coach can say, I don't like this one or that one. Don't like nobody. Everybody rules straightforward. George Bovell was a world record holder, double Pan Am gold, double Pan Am silver, Olympic medalist. And he reached late for my swimming one time. And get the signal. Home. No special treatment. All fair across the board. Respect that clung. By fire burn all you. Not me, for afraid he. Me afraid he. Their mother lie on me and try not to. Go ahead. Afraid he. Billionaires and some are called afraid he because they want something. They want an next billion. Alright. All of the business people. All of you who went in the wedding are afraid he. Respect. Respect must be earned. I have zero respect for that clown, that idiot, that fool, that super spreader, that liar, that man who's creating division in the country, playing race card every day, left, right, and center. That clown! Guardian, no honeymoon for new ministers. Now, Guardian, it's amazing how you could find any way, dig and scrape the bottom of the barrel to find some positivity in abject stupidity. Even Rhoda Barrett have a problem with this shuffle with Hines and even Rhoda Barrett, Balize and Rice. But the Guardian find a way to say no honeymoon for new ministers. What's new about the two ministers? What's new about Fitzgerald Hines? What's new about Small Pin, Stuart Young, in energy? Rowley has said and boasted that Small Pin was in charge of the NGC negotiations from a long time. He has been overseeing energy issues from the office of the Prime Minister. He went to Houston and negotiated the price of gas that has our country in total collapse, and our children have no investment in their future, in their education, no sport, no culture, no pan, nothing because of Small Pin. You know what the Guardian say? Minister Young, in his capacity of minister in the office of the Prime Minister, would have gained some experience in energy-related matters as part of delegations on such matters with the Prime Minister during the party's first term and current tenure. So the Guardian's position is that a human being who got involved in negotiations where he was not qualified, suited, nor should have been, he only entered there because of his close affinity, love, and togetherness with the clown who's the Prime Minister. That's the only qualification. That for whatever reason, they are tight. They like ring on finger. That's the only qualification. He then went into negotiations and shattered this economy for generations to come. 12 plants at Point Lisas have shut down and left no revenue for you, the people, because of this man. And the Guardian somehow says that that negative, that failure, that abject, ridiculous negotiation, that failure qualifies as experience. Think about that for a moment. So let's say you're a bowler, you're bowling all your life, you're going to selection trials and so on. You're bowling and you bowl 6 wide in your first over. They say, well, all right, maybe it's nerves or something. They give you a second over and you bowl 6 no ball. The selectors will then sit down in the team meeting to select the team to cut it from 30 down to 18. And when they're talking about you as a bowler, they will say, well, you know, he did have experience, he bowled 2 overs. Not that you bowl 6 wide and 6 no ball. The Guardian come to tell we that a total, complete, abject failure, overstepping his bounds due to the permission granted to him from the Prime Minister in energy that shut down the energy sector, the worst in 112 years of our existence in energy. That counts as experience. Well, Guardian, I've had an experience trying to read the drivel that you print in your editorial. But it's amazing how deep the brain can go to try to lick K-Packs. As we talk about licking K-Packs, now you see the connection. You have the Guardian. You want to know how perception gets into population. You have the Guardian with this, telling you right in front of your face, you are seeing stupidity personified. Fitzgerald Failure Hines, Kobo Sweatman, waste of time. You see Small Pain Young, waste of time. National security, waste. Energy negotiations, worst in history. You seeing that, but the Guardian tell you, nah, you ain't really seeing what you seeing. That them really good. But then here how it works now. You then have people like the Energy Chamber. The president and CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Chamber is Dr. Thackeray Dax Driver. Look him there, look him there. I want to, they mightn't see him, there's a small picture, right? But that's Dax Driver. Here Dax Driver now. The Energy Chamber here there. When Petrotrin shut down, not a word from the Energy Chamber, no. Not a word. 3 reports, Solomon, McKinsey, and last 3 reports say don't shut down, you know. The board of Petrotrin say, the chairman, under oath, Winfred Plantation, Espine say, I never tell the cabinet to shut down Petrotrin. Rowley shut down Petrotrin and the cabinet on its own, against 64 million in advice, not a word from PNM Dax Driver. 12 companies shut down point leases. When Proman now 2 weeks ago say, hey, this thing pressure, we pause in. He now say, well, we're a little worried. He now get worried, right? Credit rating going down, 35,000 more jobs at risk. PNM Dax Driver now make a statement 2 or 3 weeks ago. But here this one, the Energy Chamber head, Dax PNM Driver, change in law, labor laws needed. We need a framework that supports the new ways of working and which will improve national productivity and the development of a more dynamic labor market, Driver said. Really, Driver? We need more education. We need a labor force that can adapt and switch quickly. I didn't hear you say anything when the laptop program that Kamala had was stopped. The Wi-Fi program, the tablet program. I didn't hear you say anything when NESC and MIC centers were shut down, UTT is being shut down and shredded, which is, all of these things were designed to create an adaptive labor market, a labor market that can be retrained and move with new directions. Those were all concepts, policies, and positions which will achieve what you are saying is needed. But you said nothing, Mr. Archie. All you look at this Dax Driver, and when all you see him, they like to stay in the shadows and play PNM thing, right? So Dax Driver, this one, when all the programs that would create a labor force, when GATE, education, when it's cut from 800 million Fazal Karim and Kamala down to 400 million, he says nothing. What does that do? That makes our labor force less trained, less adaptive, less creative. When funding is cut across the board in education, when scholarships are cut from 500 to 100 to give out bursaries to be decided by PNM, he says nothing. But he comes to make a speech talking a bag of crap like he just read a textbook. These are the kind of people that have our country in the mess that it is. Me, I know where they find this clown. Let's continue listening to him. Such an intelligent, brilliant fellow for a man who has balizes stuck in his K-packs. He also advised that the country must have a labor market that is able to quickly and efficiently respond to changes. Really? This government has trampled labor, shut down the biggest labor union possible, mash up the tripartite negotiating team, shut down labor, discuss nothing, done nothing to help labor, to hear about labor, to adapt labor, no online. Right now, 46,000 children, the labor force this man is talking about, have not logged on to school to be educated in order to be adaptive, creative, brilliant, and move with the times. And what does the energy chamber say? Absolutely nothing. Coming to make a speech to sound good. He continued, Trinidad and Tobago, there are broad global shifts that are also impacting Trinidad and Tobago, including the rise of digitization. Yes, the rise of digitization is impacting us in 2021. In 2010, Kamla Prasad Bisesa was starting that fourth industrial revolution by giving laptops to our children in Form 1 and then going down to tablets to ensure that we stayed up with the digital world, that we stayed up on our labor force coming forward. We have lost 10 years. You did not say anything, but you're talking now as the energy chamber when energy industry in Trinidad and Tobago has been obliterated. We create nothing, we produce nothing, we manufacture nothing, we refine nothing, and we have clowns like this who come from wherever to talk one bag of nonsense. He continued. Additionally, Driver said there are specific challenges to this country as it seeks to improve its global competitiveness. Oh, we seek to improve our global competitiveness, Mr. Dax Driver. In 2015, under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, we were 65th in the Global Competitive Index. In the last 5 years, going on 6, we have dropped to 105th. That's what you call improving, Mr. Dax Driver? Isn't it truth that over the last 6 years, we have dropped dramatically, and it is embarrassing how uncompetitive we are? In the Global Competitiveness Index, Mr. Driver, you just making a speech without any factual basis whatsoever. Kamla, 65th in the world. Rowley, 105th. And you saying Rowley is seeking to improve? Boy, you have no shame. You are a shameless, ridiculous clown who pretends to be intelligent. May I know where you from, you know? He continued. We need to fix the global competitiveness. Second, attack our fiscal deficit. The fiscal deficit that has increased our debt to GDP ratio that has moved from 61% under Kamla Prasad Bisesa in 2015 to 92% right now and climbing. With this clown Coleman but continuing to borrow while revenues have dropped under to the point that we are trying to address our fiscal deficit. Our fiscal deficit is ballooning under him, but your good friend Dax Driver. He continued, we need to attract new cash flows and to diversify its exports. Really? Diversify? Your prime minister who you support said that's all they talk in 2016 speech. They talk about diversify the economy. What are you talking about, Dax Driver? You're telling him to diversify the economy into what? What has he done? We have gone 40 years backwards under Rowley and you are still a PNM protagonist. You are still a PNM apologist. You're an embarrassment. Why you don't resign and come out, go in some other energy chamber, go in the Lucasade energy chamber or something and give you a flipping chance. He says, we need to attract new cash flows. Foreign direct investment under Kamla Prasad Bissessa in 2014 was 2.64 billion US. We now stand at negative 600 million US. And you know, attract new cash flows from where? From your K-Pax. Look. Next editorial. But here now, I see finding new energy. So you have this PNM man talking here, tax driver, talking nonsense. Everything he said, we have gone backwards under Keith Christopher Rowley. But then you have the Newsday editorial, Judy Raymond picking up on this now to try and create a perception in your head. Because he says, yes, Rowley and now Small Pin is now trying to diversify, to increase cash flows, to create a labor force that is adaptive and creative and can move with the time. All of that nonsense. And then you have an editorial, page 12, Newsday, section A, April 22nd. The Prime Minister's cabinet reshuffle has been met with tepid response, obviously, even from PNM. However, there are good reasons why Mr. Young may be a good fit for the portfolio at this time. A lawyer, not even a good lawyer. IBT in our case, where a man, the first defendant, didn't even put in a defense. He get beat so bad that he had to make the first defendant unloose a case. That's that clown. And he, as a bush lawyer, is me and my brother, well, my brother's a lawyer, beat he, and them boys, AA coming and them, against Brian Manny, beat them bad. He's not even a good lawyer. All he do is sit down in an off inquiry and collect money. That's all them just do. But they put he now in energy. No energy or knowledge. The little dapper, the little blind, the little kobo sweat he get to negotiate, collapse the entire energy industry. But the Newsday, Judy Raymond is now going to tell us. Let's read on. I know you're all excited to hear. She's going to tell us that there are positives in the appointment of an uneducated, no experienced human being the head of a critical ministry of energy, which requires lots of hands-on knowledge. Okay? Let's hear these positives. Aren't you all ready to hear Judy Raymond? But there's precedent for the juxtaposition of these portfolios. At various points, the PNM's Overrun Padmore held both between, meaning Minister of National Security and Energy, in 1973 and 1975. So Judy Raymond's positive is that a PNM government had a man who was Minister of National Security and then Energy. I know you're wondering about what Anil talking about, you know. Judy Raymond's point here, to look for positives in the appointment of an uneducated energy person. This one knows nothing about energy, not an engineer, not in energy, they work in energy, can't spell energy, don't have energy, he don't even drink Lucozade energy. Her point is that in a past government, Overrun Padmore had the portfolio of national security and then went to energy, and he had it at the same time too. I can't make this up, you know. All you go and read it for yourself. That's a positive. So Overrun Padmore in 1973 to 75 has some relation to Small Pin now. She then continues. According to the Energy Chamber, put back up my PNM tax driver there. You see how they link? You see how they do it now? Right? So he come with nonsense, which I just showed you all. But them take his nonsense and come in to turn it into some editorial position on fact, to clear in your mind a perception that what you seeing does not exist. You see calamity, stupidity, chaos, uneducated people in key positions, and you're feeling the pain. They are now coming to tell you, nah man, this is going good, they're looking good, we're moving in the right direction. Okay? According to the Energy Chamber, Mr. Young has been involved in the restructuring of what is known as the gas value chain, which is how we make the most out of our resources. So this clown sent out a little release from the Energy Chamber welcoming Stuart Young to the energy portfolio, stating that he had been involved in negotiations previously as a minister in the office of the Prime Minister. And therefore, they look forward to working with Smallpin. Now, while he was involved with the energy negotiations, he collapsed the entire energy sector for Trinidad and Tobago. Point leases dropped from 72% down to 20% capacity. 12 companies fled. No revenue for you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But DouglAR says that that's a positive. A man who run everybody collapse a business. NGC make a loss for the first time in history. DouglAR and the energy chamber say, well, Smallpin was there, so we're happy that he's here now. And then the editorial, Judy Raymond, working in conjunction with this clown DouglAR, comes to tell us that a total complete failure who overstepped his bounds because his Prime Minister put him, and the favor with which he's looked upon by the Prime Minister, put him to walk all over Franklin Can portfolio and crumble and kill the entire energy sector. They tell me that's a good thing. Let me continue. They said somewhere, Judy Raymond said, as well, profound ethical and economic considerations loom over the management of our scarce resources, as well as the disposal of key assets such as those related to Petrotrin. Now you see why Smallpin gone there. Now you see why Rowley put Smallpin there. Because your assets are to be disposed of without procurement legislation that Kamla Prasad Bissessa left there. So tight pants, tight shirt, gone in on the instruction of Rowley to gut the procurement legislation. And now he puts his sidekick, his Gary Sobers, his king of procurers. Two of them went and procured vessels without board, without tender, without competition. Meet the CEOs, open the bid. See one bid was low, call, tell them your bid too high. Come down and hand it out 1-1 like mint. And now he is there, and the Newsday is perceptive. The Newsday is saying that Smallpin now gets to oversee the disposal of your assets. And these people call other people thief. Still want to vote for that? Okay. But that's what we said here on DouglAR Politics. Put Smallpin in energy, all you hold on to your seat because they go in and sell things fast. All your things going and sell. Isn't it ironic? The Business Guardian was giving us a look back at some of the energy ministers from way back, and some of the names, like Overon Padmo, Errol Mahabia, Herbert Atwell, Patrick Manning, Albert Richards, Lenny Sate, Kelvin Ramnath, Barry Barnes. But now you have to add it. We could add Kevin Ramnarine. But now at the end of that list of illustrious names, all with experience and skill in the energy sector, you now add Stuart Smallpin Young. But there was one I left out from before, There was one I left out. This Minister of Energy, this Minister of Petroleum and Mines, had the air and the heart and the capax of the former Prime Minister. He was loved and beholden by that Prime Minister. He could do what he want. He could walk where he want, go and do whatever he want in other people's portfolio. He was the super minister. In fact, I dare say, he was the Gary Sobers of the former Prime Minister, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams. His name was John O'Halloran. The Minister of Petroleum and Mines, John O'Halloran. And now we move to the Minister of Energy, Stuart Smallpin Young, who has the heart and soul of his Prime Minister, who's all up in his Prime Minister's capax, who walks all over other ministers' portfolios, whether it's tourism, whether it's the Chief Secretary of Tobago, whether it's energy, whatever it is, whether it's works and transport. He walks wherever he wants because he holds the power, the respect and love of the Prime Minister. So on one end you had Johnny O, and on this end you had Stuart Smallpin. History repeats itself. We coming back, Archie. Only soak that one in.
Politics, we don't get no kicks.
And while all of that is going on, we had a big accident again here today. I hope that people are not in, there were injuries, but I hope that they all recover. And accidents all across Trinidad and Tobago. Here why? As your assets are going to be disposed of by these people who legalized thieving, who went into the parliament and gutted the procurement legislation, removed medical supplies, lawyers, remove government-to-government relations, disposal of assets, and your assets are going to be disposed of. You already have NICWA and your gas, your equity looks like it's down to zero because the deal was 10 million US cash and 25 million US in shares. If the plant is no good, it done blow up once. It's not producing anything. The workers have not been paid for 4 months. The monthly wage bill is 511,000 US. They only had in December 2020 400,000 US cash. They borrowed 125 million US at a certain percentage. They were looking to raise another 175 million US. That has been put on the back burner because they're yet to produce any product for sale. Where that going? That is a total crash, total useless investment by Rowley and his government. They're also using gas, the minister's share of gas, which was signed off by the PNM under Rowley and Franklin Canton NICWAN. That gas could have been made available for others downstream to bring revenue. I hope you all know that when a company goes bust, your shares are worth zero. So if you have 25, you the people have 25 million US shares worth of equity in that thing. On top of your 3 billion from Malcolm Jones, what do you want me to do about that? Rowley and then pull him out of court because Stuart Young was his lawyer. You all say that's okay. That's fine. That's not corruption. That's not conflict of interest. That's great. That's PNM. Okay. But when all of that is going on, traffic lights not working. Traffic lights, eh? Your wives, your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, all kind of people driving on the roads, families, babies. But traffic lights in Trinidad and Tobago are not working. You all want to know why? Traffic lights across the country have not been working over the last few days due to late payments to the contractors who service these lights. Rohan Sinanan, Minister of Works and Transport, spoke to Guardian Media in a telephone interview and confirmed that the lights were not working and that the reason was due to lack of payments to contractors. Well, I mean, we do have challenges in terms of cash flow, says Rohan Sinanan. They have challenges in terms of cash flow to keep traffic lights working so that you can reach home safely with your children. But the cash flow don't affect the rental to tight pants and tight shirt, the rental to Franklin Can wife. It don't affect the interest payments to Stuart Smallpin, young brother, on the $3.81 billion they borrow. It don't affect that. But traffic lights, to keep you alive, they have no money to pay to keep them thing working. And accident after accident, down to today, police get in an accident. I wonder what Arrive Alive has to say about that. Miss Inglefield, what say you? You don't need traffic lights, want people and drink and drive. Arrive Alive is only with drink and drive. Except if it's a PNM. A PNM could drink and drive and you happy end, Inglefield, Miss Inglefield. Because you never said anything about a PNM senator being convicted of drunk driving and sitting down in the Senate for 3 more years. Never said a word. So traffic lights not working. What's Arrive Alive position? Well, that has nothing to do with drink. Arrive Alive is only Arrive Alive with drinks. Arrive Alive have nothing to say about that. You don't find that disgusting. You don't find that a lack of priority. On top of that now, they have not paid CETA, which is in the airport. For 14 months now, they have not paid that bill. CETA is a computer software system that all airports are linked to, so that you could check security, Interpol, all traveling agencies, terrorism and so on. Everybody could know who come in, who go in and so on and do checks. That system, they have not been paid by the PNM for 14 months. For the last 4 weeks, they've been operating at the airport half capacity. In time to come, the airport could be shut down. Our airport could be downgraded because of the lack of security, lack of payment of a bill. This is your government. Let's see if we get a positive that this government did. Remember I asked y'all, and I find we are very quiet. We are quiet when the granny 96 was strangled. I say, well, we getting numb. But when 3 children were taken off the Galleon's Passage in St. Vincent by our Ministry of National Security, and the then Minister of National Security, Smallpin, said, well, we did not have any guardians to take care of them in the state quarantine, our state quarantine, and therefore we took them off the vessel and left them by a volcano to dead. He said that calmly, as if it made logical sense. And the media just printed it as if it made logical sense to leave children in harm's way with a volcano erupting because we don't have systems in place to care for children. So we have no social services, no children authority, no psychologists, no counselors, no nurses, no caregivers, no nothing. We can't take care of children for 14 days. But the story gets worse. Mom wants probe into her daughter's St. Vincent repatriation denial. The mother of a 13-year-old Trinidadian national who was denied passage on the Galleon's Passage's return trip from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Trinidad last week is calling for the National Security Minister to investigate. Well, he had to investigate himself or his partner. But the girl, along with 2 other children, were made to disembark the vessel. When it was discovered, they were traveling alone. They were traveling alone? Or weren't they traveling with 50 of our best? And I think it was a woman in charge, the major, the highest ranking officer was a woman also. A mother. 50 of our best Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force plus Ministry of National Security officials plus immigration, and they were traveling alone, really? So children don't fly on planes all the time. Their parents put a tag on them and the air stewardess, their flight attendants take them, guide them, put them, hold them, keep them and take them. That don't happen. That is not a normal thing for the last 40 years. On the vessel, the immigration called me, says the mother. It was like minutes to 11, telling me that the child have to come off the vessel, James told Guardian Media. She said she had made arrangements in Trinidad for her daughter to be taken care of by her maternal grandmother. The woman grandmother was there to receive the child. We take children off a vessel and leave them to inhale ash and probably molten lava when Volcano still erupting. Then we come to the greatest now. Still looking for positives. Keith Christopher Rowley, our Prime Minister, says, don't blame Tobago. And I believe all three headlines had that. Don't blame Tobago. Now let's be clear. Not one human being blamed Tobago for any COVID spike. Not one. Not one member of the UNC, not Kamla Persad-Bissessar, none of our 18 other members of parliament, not Wade Mark in the Senate, nobody, not one of our senators, not one of our national executive, not Dr. Kirk Megu, not anybody, not no PRO, not one UNC said blame Tobago. Not one independent human being, other people, apolitical people, nobody said blame Tobago. Everybody said blame Keith Christopher Rowley, the super spreader, the arrogant, that fellow who invited people under a pandemic to flood Tobago, talking about the ferry, there's no problem with the ferry, everybody could come. Tobago is the place to be, he advertised. Every single human being said that that was irresponsible of Keith Christopher Rowley. Nobody blamed Tobago. But he comes, dips deep in his pocket, goes past the Oreo cookies that were inside there from last week, stale, and goes down and pulls out a race card. And the media fall prey to it and advance it to say the UNC, the Indian party of County Caroni and County Victoria, are blaming the black African Tobagonian PNM island for COVID-19 spread. No one said it, never done, not true, total lie. But how many people read this, did not go and read the story, did not check, do not know, would not know, and then would say by the talk by the water cooler, listen on the radio, but what I'm telling them UNC, how they go blame the Tobago, Tobagonian, they do them nothing, just because they don't like Tobagonian. All of this nasty talk started by one human being concocting and fabricating a total blatant lie. Who blamed Tobago? Nobody. And then he comes to tell us the statistics of where COVID-19 is in Victoria and County Caroni, Indian counties. That's what this man does. Dividing this country on race. And you all playing games. You all ignore the Calcutta ship when he sat right there and never corrected the man. You all sat there when he had a sports day. He was waving his hands as red gorillas pulled the sari off of a female, a yellow sari. You all were there when he says, oh, she called me a black man, when it's blank man. You all were there when there was advertisement with people helping people. And he said, look, they give a banana, an Anglo-Saxon foreign white people thing on black and brown people. In Mississippi and Alabama back in the day, civil rights movement, they give an Indian banana too, because black, brown, all is monkey to them. But you come in a country of only brown people and black people and trying to instill and inject that Anglo-Saxon nonsense. If you even stop to think, the Hindu religion reveres monkey, worships, reveres and praises. So if you even read a book, you know that stupidity makes no sense. But enough of you believe it to go and dip your finger for that clown. And now he tries a race card again. When he is the super spreader, they say he had 35 contacts. We know he had contact with Franklin Khan. Franklin Khan dead. He sends another crew to come now, and Avery Hines and Roshan Parasram emitting the same nonsense that he is trying to break down per county where the spread is. When people went to Tobago, 50,000 people, Rohan Sinanad boasted that they went to Tobago. They went from all over Trinidad On the advice and invitation of Rowley, they flocked to Tobago. No extra police, no nothing. No extra masks, no extra protocols, nothing. They line up separate in the airport and jump on a plane 95 to 100% full. Flood out on the ferry. Everybody on the ferry choke up so. When they went to Tobago, they pick up something and pelt it way, party, Island Pool, Pigeon Point, beach, all over. And then everybody, all the Trinis, jumped back on plane and boat and come back Trinidad and went all over. So COVID all over because the super spreader was not only spreading it himself. Look at it. He was not only spreading it himself, he invited citizens to come and do this in Tobago. And then now he comes to say, that is UNC blaming Tobago, trying to play Indian against black. What a disgrace. Well, let me also tell him. He said the origin of the spike predates Easter. Dr. Rowley. He's not a doctor, a geologist, you know. He's a doctor of stones. Right? Stones. Franco meant stones. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday strenuously rejected the assertion that Tobago and its people were the cause of the current COVID-19 spike. Who made that assertion? And the newspaper just print that, you know. He strenuously reject an assertion that was never made by anybody. And that front page, you know, story. A liar concocting a lie and creating a lie. Mr. Emailgate, Mr. Gravel Roll from hospital in Scarborough to somewhere by E. Mr. Pig Farm, Mr. Sheep Farm that without EIA approval. Mr. Housing Minister with Noel Garcia, all kind of project without approval, all shattered, wasted money. Mr. Lion Patrick Manning, both CEO and corruption. Mr. Astrubal Chavez, Mr. Emailgate, Mr. Liar. Look what they're printing on. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday strenuously rejected the assertion that Tobago and its people were the cause of the current COVID-19 spike. Who made that assertion? Who? Where? When? How? And y'all just print that express. Right after that, you should have put, well, our investigation showed that nobody said that. Isn't that what real journalism is? So he could just create, concoct, fabricate a position and then strenuously deny it so he bipolar, he arguing with himself. They continued. Prime Minister hit out at divisive politicians who have sought to jump on Tobago and to blame the Easter weekend in the Sister Isle as the source of the increasing community spread. These dividers were misrepresenting the facts. Okay. Let me read some of the dividers. Hines, Dr. Avery Hines. Surge in COVID transmission stems from Easter weekend. Dr. Hyde. That's a UNC? That's not the same P&M Hines? That's not the same K-Pax, Rowley K-Pax Hines? Let me read what he had to say now. Technical Director of the Ministry of Health's Epidemiology Division, Dr. Avery Hines, says one of the driving factors for the current surge in COVID cases were congregations around the time of the Easter weekend. We're now seeing the effects as this week's figures roll out. We're seeing that 2-week gap between Easter and now being followed by that large surge, he said while presenting the epidemiological data during yesterday's virtual press conference. Hines noted, we have actually picked up pace in positive cases, and that advanced pace has been maintained over the last couple of weeks following the Easter weekend. Let me go back. Where it is, right? Let me check what Rowley said. Rowley said, Rowley hit out at divisive politicians who have sought to jump on Tobago to blame the Easter weekend in the Sister Isle as the source of the increasing community spread. Dr. Avery Hines. One of the driving factors for the current surge in COVID cases were congregations around the time of Easter weekend. Let's go back and check what Rowley said. The Prime Minister reiterated that Caroni, Victoria were the locations of the highest increases in confirmed infection, not Tobago. The CMO datasheet continue to confirm that areas of accelerated increases of confirmed viral infection continue to be County Caroni, County Victoria and St. George's. To set about to separate the people of Tobago or their tourism economy for special hatred is misleading and just plain wrong. For special hatred now. Keep in mind, nobody said that. Nobody blamed Tobago, nobody blamed Tobagonians, nobody, whether UNC or anybody else, blame Tobagonians. We blame Rowley for inviting people to go over and frolic in Tobago. We blame Rowley for being a super spreader himself. We blame Rowley for not ensuring extra police presence and adherence to protocols and the regulations that he and his government made. So everybody blame Rowley. Nobody blame Tobago. Then he transforms it and said it's hatred now. Hear the word, you know. To separate the people of Tobago, to separate the people of Tobago or their tourism economy for special hatred is misleading and just plain wrong. What is misleading and just plain wrong is your lies. You're a sick man, boy. A result of a successful Easter weekend in Tobago, he said, there's nothing useful to contribute on the UNC to be trying to establish that our current circumstances are as a result of a successful Easter weekend in Tobago. He said, Rowley said he was rejecting any attempt to misrepresent the facts and the placing of blame on Tobago for hosting a few thousand who chose to spend their time. First of all, it's not a few thousand. Rohan Sinanan said it's 50,000. I don't think we use the adjective few to describe 50,000. And then he says, for hosting a Tobago, a successful Easter weekend. Well, hold on. Let me see something. Here we have also Minister of Health. What's his name? Convangyal? Which Minister of Health? Well, not the doctor, because he's not a doctor. Terence Dialsing says, the spike we are seeing in COVID-19 cases across Trinidad and Tobago was as a result of lax behavior during the Easter weekend. Dialsing is a divider. He's a UNC. UNC don't want he. You could keep him, Rowley. You could keep him, you could have him, and you could love him. The same Dr. Hines there though. The one that he say is a great divider. Rowley and his fabricator. He's lied so much he don't know when to lie, who to lie, and how to lie. Hines says there's no evidence that Brazilian strain is spreading. Really? He said that yesterday. Today, UE did test. They found 3 more cases of the Brazilian strain, bringing it to 5. And the 5 cases are not linked, if you're following what I'm saying. So the first case, separate. And these others are separate. And they all down. One was also down in Barry Padarat constituency of Princestown. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I told you all, if you feel it have Venezuelans in Arapita Avenue and Diego Martin and Simeon Road and thing, go down so. Go down Debe, go down Princestown, go down Pinal, go down Siparia. When they coming through Cedras, Fullerton, Ikakas and thing, they coming in that area. They find 3 more cases, one of which is down in that area of the Brazilian variant. If we borders lock and we citizens can't come, where it come from? But Dr. Hines saying that no evidence of that spread. I wonder what you're going to say tomorrow. It spread like Bruban on bread. And then the Newsday comes, and the Newsday says, local xenophobia. So I'm saying, but what is this? But clearly, when I read this editorial, I realized that Judy Raymond could not write this, because this was kind of scathing, an attack on Rowley. Judy Raymond wouldn't do that. Is Judy Raymond in quarantine for true? Or she just didn't work this day? No, I tell she to go and get tests. Mrs. Rowley, you safe. But Judy Raymond, remember the DouglAR tell you, go and take a test, girl. Don't say I don't care about your health. I don't agree with nothing you're right, but I want you to remain healthy. So I tell she to go and take a test like she must be in quarantine because somebody else write this Newsday editorial. Let me read it for you. It says, local xenophobia. Mr. Hines, in a dramatic shift in tone from that of his predecessor Stuart Young, said he was not persuaded illegal immigration had a role in the situation. Mr. Dial Singh said he saw no evidence indicating Venezuelans play a role in the large number of cases. While the ministers were chiding the public for holding skewed views, the Prime Minister was busy encouraging them. In the same breath, Dr. Rowley seemed to imply that 3 districts in Trinidad are to blame for our predicament, starting with County Carney, followed by County Victoria and St. George East. But the Newsday says, but how productive is it to seek to make large the slender distinctions between local regions in a small country such as this one, especially when the boundaries between these regions are arbitrary and the population densities and physical layouts of these districts differ considerably. It's not just the politicians who have trafficked in this sort of thing, however. Officials like Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram and his staff have repeatedly been at pains to track differences between districts, sometimes even when those differences are minute. In truth, a highly infectious disease such as this would be hard to contain to one particular county in the absence of the most stringent of measures, and what evidence we would have is subject to the rate of testing and many other considerations. The Newsday is criticizing the rate of testing, criticizing the position of Rowley to try and create local xenophobia between the races, racial division, by trying to state that the increase in cases in Indian land, in UNC land, in County Victoria and County Carney, the Newsday says that that is divisive, nonsensical, and unscientific. Judy Raymond could not have been there. Whoever write this, oh Lord, I'm going to be looking for work. I don't know who wrote it, but not Judy. Unless that documentary was true and COVID-19 presents problems of erectile dysfunction. Oh, so fast? So fast that happened? And one time, girl, you're done with it? Oh Lord. In a situation in which race and politics are currently tied to geographical constituency, to blame one space over another has insinuations best left out of public health policy. The Newsday is blowing out and buffing Rowley. Oh my goodness. And by the way, to all of you, nobody's been xenophobic. COVID-19, we on lockdown. COVID-19 needs human beings to jump, to live, to survive. Needs community spread. We had a period of 54 days without any community spread, with 116 positive cases and 8 deaths. We were locked down and total lockdown. Our borders were closed to citizens. Any citizens who were coming back were coming through quarantine and protocols, 14 days testing, PCR negative testing, and so on. But the borders are porous, and COVID-19 now is worse 14 days after Rowley's war on COVID. So imagine you fighting a war on something and getting beat. Well, you better come out of the office. If you're a general, they fire you already. You lost the war. And the only reason that it's coming through illegal immigration. Not that migrants are bringing it on purpose. They're coming to survive. They're coming from a place where it's rampant. They're not tested. They're not coming through. They have no temperature check. They have no swab. We don't know where they are. We can't find them in Australia. They're interacting with the community. They're not going to go to health centers and so on because they are illegal. They want to hide. They want to stay under the radar. But it's spreading. And now the Brazilian, 5 cases of the Brazilian variant are here. It came through the porous borders. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. But here it is. Noel Garcia, I wonder if you was lineman with Rowley in Tobago, boy. Are you one of the 35 contacts? Because Newsday Business Extra, Daily Express Business Extra, Thursday, 22nd April. COVID strikes Udicott. 2 senior officials of Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago are in quarantine after an employee at the company tested positive. Noel Garcia, were you lineman with Rowley in Tobago? Did you carry a big bag? Remember that bag I saw you coming out Alice in the grocery and massive store, a big bag? I thought I saw Rowley name on it. Did you carry it for him? Huh? Were you lineman with him? Because just so Udicott, it reached Udicott too. Rowley was really a super spreader, boy. They should give you an award. They should spread you straight open, spread eagle. In addition, but here it is though, but Udicott, somebody test positive, 2 people. In addition to implementing the work from home roster, COVID sanitization protocols were also actioned on the weekends. So Udicott sanitized because test. Rowley in the parliament gets sanitized. Them just let time pass. And you all find that's right. Finally, let me tell you, not finally, still with COVID. I told you all the entertainment industry. I'm listening to lots of people on the radio and so on talking about COVID-19 and who was getting a blind and a link to get a vaccine and talking it normal as if that's a normal procedure. When vaccines are really for those most in need first, the frontline workers, those who are in the trenches, and then those who are at most at risk with comorbidities and so on. But they talking and they have this sort of PNM flavor. It's just diffused into them. They can't tell you why it's PNM. They just know that there's of that. Maybe they look like PNM. Maybe it's a race thing. Maybe it's they grew up in a PNM house. But they can't know nothing about no policy, no foreign direct investment, no energy sector, no arts, and even the culture sector that they're in. Because if they understood that, they would know that Kamla Prasad Bisesa invested more in culture, arts, carnival, entertainment, music, pan, all sorts of things, entertainment industry, movie production, anything and everything, by over 40 million per year more than Rowley and the PNM. But furthermore, they are now realizing, and I told you all this last month, I told you all this last show, that due to the incompetence of Rowley, our domestic culture and our entertainment entrepreneurs are going to be broken for the next couple of years. There will be no carnival next year. Now some people might say, well, carnival is no big thing. Yeah, carnival provides Trinidad and Tobago with a lot of revenue, a lot of jobs, puts food on the table for many people. Well, and entertainment industry is reeling. The latest closure, a severe blow. The latest COVID-19 public health restrictions have put the entertainment industry under pause. Event promoters and producers yesterday described the closure of venues throughout the country as a severe setback. Right? You all now understanding that? They also had an editorial today in the Express showing an SOS, cultural SOS. It fall down here. Sorry. Daily Express, Friday 23rd April. The ease with which the government has shut down the entertainment sector without so much as a reference to support provisions or even acknowledgement of the damage being done to the single largest sector of entrepreneurs and innovators in this country speaks volumes about its attitude towards the cultural industries. While it is at pains to keep the private sector running, it seems unaware, meaning the PNM government is unaware of the fact that the entertainment industry and other players in the cultural sector are also part of the private sector. built and developed on private initiative, expertise, and investment. No consideration, no understanding. The entire entertainment industry shattered because of poor COVID response. We're number one, and all you believe that nonsense? We're the worst. Rowley was the worst before COVID. COVID just show how much of an idiot he is. And you all think it's funny. People suffering, all their savings gone. Soca, calypso, culture, pan, music, art, artisans, bands, security, lightman, stage man, music man, console lady, everybody suffering. And now no vaccination, no herd immunity. We going into May. Band launch is normally June, July. Music start to drop all September. No carnival again because of PNM incompetence. All you still want to vote left foot, right foot, and who black and who not. But here the Express had to express. No government has ever really understood the cultural economy powers. Really, no government. No government, not Kamla Prasad Bissessa government, that increased cultural funding and funding to carnival from a minuscule 27 million to 145 million with Winston Gypsy Peters. Extempo, he went mad and went red eye business, but at the time, Extempo King, Calypso Monarch, culture, pan, increased funding for the pan across the board, pan in school, art, movies, direction, creation, culture, local. All you forget all of that? All of that investment, UTT funding, Rowley cut all of that. And you all say that Kamla didn't understand culture and the economy. That was one of the pillars she was going to diversify and was in the midst of diversifying the economy on. But of course, Express, I know it's hard for you all to just talk the truth pure. You must throw in something. Because one way that gerrymandering and race works is if you pretend both major parties are the same. So PNM is terrible, ridiculous, doesn't understand, unaware. But no government was aware. Really? How sad. The Guardian comes to say, no second chances with COVID-19. Now remember the same newspaper, this Guardian tried to promote Keith Christopher Rowley as some conquering hero, rewriting and quoting his speech from last year at the beginning of the war on COVID. Never mind that he has lost the war and COVID kicking him in the puffin. Never mind that. Them come to play like he's some hero. The man who had an invitation for a 240 people wedding in his pocket, Andrew Gabriel wedding. The man who's a super spreader. The man who had Dr. Hines trying to change regulation from symptom to asymptomatic and so on about incubation period. The man who invited people to go across to Tobago and frolic and put nothing in place to keep us safe. The man who had the borders porous and Brazilian variant reach. Hear them. Even Rowley admitted in his Facebook post that he has made frequent mistakes. Now, he didn't enunciate and tell us specifically which ones. I mean, I forgive him. There's so many mistakes he makes, he can't remember all. But here the Guardian. The Guardian, Rowley admit he is a clown and he make mistake. The Guardian and all not ready to admit that at all, Guardian. No second chances with COVID-19. It should not have come to this. Had there been enough discipline within our population for widespread adherence to public health protocols, the big stick approach now being implemented by the TNT Police Service would not have been necessary to deal with another spike in COVID-19 cases. The Easter weekend escapades. The unavoidable truth, says the Guardian, is that these COVID-19 surges are due to the behaviors of people moving around more freely and with less regard for the pandemic protocols. Really? It's not Rowley and the porous borders. It's not Rowley and his Attorney General shirking and flouting the laws in the face of the population all over social media. In a tight shot with no mask, hugging up man, kissing man, talking, brain like a donkey, playing arm wrestle. It's not Rowley allowing Andrew Gabriel, his #1 financier and friend, to host his daughter's wedding in the middle of a pandemic. It's not Rowley calling people to come to Tobago, get on planes, get on boats, get on ferries and come and party, no mask, enjoy yourself. And it's not Rowley. A guardian is the people. So the government, the Prime Minister, has no responsibility for nothing. But look what he has responsibility for. A guardian, I wonder if you like this one. Look who he put. Actually, get ready that video there. As we lock off this DouglAR politics. I just want to show you all as you go home. Take care of yourself, you know. Be safe. Because if we have to depend on this man to keep we safe, a man who say he's Rasta, but he now going to head up Babylon system in a government that oppresses black people, takes away laptops for them and tell them it's for their own good, gives them no sporting funding, no grants, no school feeding, no textbooks, no houses, no UTT, no NESC and MIC training, no funding. They tell you to wean yourself off the government. This Pumcity Rasta is now going to be the head of the Babylon system. All you, be safe. I go on. Enjoy this. Run it, Archie.
Rat race, I'm singing that when the cat's away, the mice will play. Political violence, fill your city. Yeah. Don't involve Rasta in your say. Rasta don't work for no CIA. Rat race, rat race, rat race, rat race. I'm saying, when you think it's peace and safety, a sudden destruction, collective security for surety, yeah. Don't forget your history, know your destiny in the abundance of water. The food is thirsty, rat race.
One of the 9 police divisions across Trinidad and Tobago, and I will be asking them to report to this team on a daily basis their activity in terms of the enforcement of those regulations, where people will be made to feel it in their pockets if they practice the unthinking behavior of disregarding the security and the safety of all of us.
DouglAR politics, we don't get no kicks. Trinidad and Tobago.